So as you already know that millions are affected by the coronavirus and thousands have already been died and many struggling in this critical situation. So we pray that may God keep everyone protected in his shelter and God bless with full recovery to those people who are under the treatment.
Amen.
And those who died, may their souls rest in peace and God give his deep console to the families who lost their beloved ones.
Amen.
We must salute to all the hospital staff, including the doctors, nurses, paramedical, and all who are fighting with the coronavirus on the front line. And also, please keep contributing to help poor and needy during this pandemic. So here, this is the first slide of our presentation, which is on the project management during the pandemic and even beyond. You guys all know basically the project management is very dynamic and flexible. It continues to improve as a working framework even during the pandemic and after. We would like to present our thoughts a little about the pandemic effects. Then we will move towards a potential opportunity to turn back towards the basics. And finally, we will move forward towards the topic of the day, that is the project management in the pandemic situations. The global picture in front of us these days is very unique. No one and no nation on this earth was ready to went through such a massive disruption. This is something very far beyond unexpected complexity and uncertainty. This is very unusual and this is very non-traditional and this is very, uncertain. Actually, every one of us, we are experiencing what is the psychological pressure of enforced isolation. Maybe in a few months back or a few uh, years back, we all try to find some isolation, but this time this isolation becomes very difficult. But we have hope because, always when the problems come, it also creates the patience, and patience creates the strength, and strength creates the faith. So we are hopeful that this situation will comes to the end very soon and we will be in the normal world, a new world again. And also I would like to add some more words. Basically, we being human and a nation, we need to keep our hopes high. Pakistan went through many crises like earthquakes and floods, and we will come out of this situation as well with patience, with strength, and with faith, inshallah. Pandemic is not an isolated incident. You know, the right understanding of this issue is the half of the solution. This time, challenge is very unique. Floods, earthquakes, hurricanes, and fire in the forests are the local incidents. But coronavirus is not an isolated problem. But best is to keep finding opportunities during the problems. Here, in this case, isolation can help us to rethink on our lifestyle, reorganized our priorities, and remap our journeys and travels. Believe me, apart from the basics of the project management, as it could be a concern of few professionals, but there are many day-to-day basics which are well known but not in practice, and in fact forgotten. I must say, we should use this isolation to find out our basics as a human being. This Pareto principle, the law of the vital few, is known to everyone. But today it is very relevant, and it well elaborates the fundamentals and the basics that 80% of the issues are because of the 20% of the mismanagement, or we can say 80% of the issues can be resolved by focusing of the 20% of the causes. 80% of the output from a given system is determined by the 20% of the right input. This shows how much important are the basics of the project management to achieve the desired results from any project. This 20% in project management could be a unique blend of leadership, cross-functional skills of the team, proactive engagement, fine-tuned communication, and customized processes. So we are moving towards the objective and the challenges at the moment. And for today's session, we specifically focus on three major objectives, which are related to the project management. That is, validate facts, self-realism, and make the better decisions. It is now a big challenge to achieve these objectives in this situation of crisis. It's hard to focus and make such decisions which can help us to minimize the destructive effects, because this situation is unique and the challenges are also very unique. Now, actually, we are right on the top of the exclusive concept that we want to share with you. This is basically based on our own research and experience and a lot of observations. This concept is entitled as reach, and you can see the word uh, between the words, the few characters are highlighted as REACH. It is also the part of our next book, that is on the remote project management in pandemic. Reach is actually built as a progressive elaborated process running in a loop to implement the phenomena of the basics. And very important to understand that the basics of the project management before we talk about the remote project management. And that is, as you can see, realize the problem, change the methodology accordingly, adopt, adopt the adaptability and the required changes to transform, and then accelerate that transformation which we achieve. And finally archive new learnings of the future for the future validations and for the negotiations, and which we all know as a organizational process as such. So I'm moving towards the first element in detail out of the reach concept, that is realize the problem. You know, guys, the project never work on assumptions and uncertainties. In any project, the more we identify what is useless and irrelevant, the better would be execution and deliveries. Project deliveries should be exactly as per agreed scope, neither under promise and nor above the commitments. In both cases, it will be a failure. Avoid is one of the risk strategy, as many issues can be minimized, as it's one of the risk response strategy to manage the negative risks, along with the accept, mitigate, and transfer. Process should be very lean and very efficient. Management should not waste time on over follow-ups with the teams, and teams should not waste time on the over treatments of the issues or the bugs. So, what is the best? The best is eliminate the unnecessaries and cultivate the essentials. So, identify what is not required and avoid for the betterment of the project, for the team, for the organization. So, moving towards the second element of the concept reach, that is change the methodology. It's not only the mindset and the skill set of the leadership and experts, it's about the mindset of the whole organization. That makes a difference. Strategies should drive the culture, not the otherwise. The best approach is the sense of the checklists to ensure the quality at every stage, every phase of the work. As it happens in the manufacturing conveyor belt of any product, keep validating and keep changing the method until you achieve the desired results. And I'm moving towards the third element of the reach concept, that is the adaptability in the workplace. And this is the main and the central part of the reach concept. It is about the readiness and the flexibility to adopt the changes in the system, in the approach, in the processes, and in the work conditions, and shifting the focus on what is exactly required and on what is really important. Always remains flexible to negotiate for the betterment and for the innovations. Currently, lifestyle is changed because our world is changed because of the pandemic. This is more a kind of enforced adaptability, but in fact, adaptability is good. Okay, moving towards the last element of this concept, reach is basically archive. Everything will go waste if you will not record. This is a knowledge management or building the organizational process assets. Knowledge archives for any project or any program or even any portfolio are as important as the enterprise environmental factors are. This is a factor that makes the organization independent and discourage people dependency. And it contains the best and the proven rules, checklists, and the parameters, and the lessons from the past projects and the statements of the efficient executions that play a huge contribution in decision making and setting the right approach and a right strategy for the future projects.
Unfortunately, this is something which is missed out on projects, on most of the projects. The two reasons are that first one is that once we reach that stage, we have already exhausted our timelines, or especially the cost. So basically, that's one of the reasons we have to skip this part. And the second one is that there is no culture of openly sharing the knowledge regarding the projects. Obviously, most of the projects don't go as planned, so people just feel ashamed to share their uh, wrongdoings. But this is very important as a project management professional or any professional, to learn from your mistakes and help other to learn from your knowledge. That's it.
So this slide is basically about the fundamental tools and the techniques to implement the basics we discussed. The basics we discussed through the reach concept definitely need some tools and technique to apply and execute. What basically most important is the disciplined strategic governance, along with trusted engagement with the stakeholders, with the vendors, with the client, with the contractors, with subcontractors. all the stakeholders, possible stakeholders, and optimization of the processes, procedures, plan, policies. This all need to be, blend and integrate properly with each other. And but not the least is the performance and efficiency audits. Audits basically makes us, in fact, proactive. So all these four things we can use as a tool, or we can use as a technique to implement the basics in our organization.
Next one.
So here we are in a stage at the moment when risk is in handshakes. If risk is in a handshakes, then believe me, we are, and we know all that we are in a remote world.
And not a very good state.
Yes, it's not a very good stage. So among the problems and utilizing the opportunities, we believe we can find a solution. And one of the solution in this situation regarding the project is, no doubt about that, is remote project management. As far as the projects are concerned, this could be a solution, or this can play a useful contribution to find the solution, or we can say it is a solution at some extent.
And this is something not really new for us. We have been doing this, and but the thing is that in order to perform the remote project management, we have to stick to the basics.
Okay, but the question in everyone's mind is, does the remote project management really works? And the answer is yes. But believe me, it's not for the weak-hearted people. Why I'm saying this? Because in remote project management, actually it's a more serious business than even the physical project management. As you can see here, we would like to share a strategy with you, a strategy to decide whether we should use the remote project management or we should not use, whether we should use agile or waterfall, what is best. So before I further move forward the details of the remote project management, let me tell you, the most important of any individual or of any organization is to make a strategic decision whether they really need this or not, or fully need or partially need. So please don't make selections. Best is to make decision based on the requirements and indicators. It should not be someone's personal choice because they recently heard about the agile, so let's use agile. I seen that the waterfall is working very well, so let's use waterfall. No, always use the indicators and always see what is exactly required. We elaborated details of this fundamental necessity in our book. You can see in the bottom of this slide the name of our book, that is Agile Practitioner Keynotes, where we wrote the competitive analysis between the selectors and the indicators that can help to make a decision that which framework or which methodology should be adopted based on the real-time requirements.
One thing I would like to add here is that, as Saqib said, that basically it's not just about the strategy or the framework, or the decision should be based on some data. Like we discussed in Reach, it's self-realization. You cannot just adopt any framework or any decision without just based on your liking to, or inclination towards any particular person or any strategy. It's serious business and it should be taken based on some data so that we can take a best guess.
So, in fact, this is a gradual transition. It was actually a gradual transition, but no, it has been fast forwarded. As Zeeshan said, that the remote project management is not new at all, not new. But current situation really converting this from an option to a necessity. So the challenge, how to execute the projects in the remote work environment effectively. Many people are running already, but the question is how effectively. And here are some challenges we would like to share with you. It's not so easy. It really needs, uh, you know, uh, more a mindset. There are many, in fact. Even the challenges are many. But on the top of all, setting up the virtual work environment is the biggest challenge itself. Shift of a mindset from a work group to a true team also takes time and efforts. Remote environment cannot sustain and cannot produce without timely communication and committed collaboration as various tools and the global factors involved in the remote work, including cloud infrastructure, data security, culture, and legal differences, even. Yeah, the next is basically about the remote work environment is a mindset. And it is a mindset because mindset is a big deal. Remote work environment needs a different mindset and understanding. It's not a mindset of any individual or any manager or any particular leader, but it's a mindset of a whole organization holistically. In large prospect, this actually settle the philosophy of the remote work. Even within the same office, leadership and the team has equal responsibility to accept, establish, and reflect this philosophy. Okay, so we are right there when we are talking about now the three main pillars of the remote project management. And the first one is leadership, and the second is environment, and third is the team. These are the three things or three elements that make the remote project management successful. And absence of any of the element or any of the factor will be really a disaster, especially in remote project management. When we say think about the remote leadership, basically it's not about the leadership type. It's not important that because it could be a autocratic leadership or bureaucratic leadership, democratic, charismatic, people oriented, task oriented, but no matter whatsoever, the important is the persistent ability to manage the multiple projects simultaneously and effectively track the progress. Especially in remote work environment, a leader must have clarity on need assessment, on execution strategy, on roadmap, and on all relevant decisions. Remote leader need to simplify the targets. He need to motivate and he need to empower the team members to cross the actual finish line.
And in terms of opportunity, I think this is the time when we can exercise all these things we often seek in others.
Yeah, thank you. So moving towards the second major element of the remote project management, that is the setting up the right remote environment. You know, the systematic collaboration and the synchronized visibility is the real quality check of a true remote work environment. Environment should have the facility to move the information timely and transparently. It needs to be dynamic, where most of the management work and reprioritization of the tasks between the team can be performed through just drag and drop. There are many tools in the market which claims such possibilities. I will not name any particular deliberately, but must say no one tool can fulfill all the requirements of the remote work environment. Be careful. All this definitely required very dynamic live integration of the multiple tools.
Uh, as Saqib said, basically there are a lot of tools, and I think mostly all of us have been using some tools. But I think this is the time when we have the actual realization of how important these tools are for collaboration and in terms of visibility and transparency.
So the third important thing or the main pillar of remote project management is the team. The most important. The most important because in the end it's all about the team. On remote projects, we will advise, must engage the well-trained and well-informed human resource who contains the cross-functional skills, because the proactiveness, ownership, and accountability required to be the default quality of the remote team. This is not what you will hire and build. No, remote team should have the ability to do most of the things by themselves. That is the that is only possible if we engage the self-sufficient teams for the remote projects. Let's see some tangible benefits of the remote project environment. There could be many, but we listed six for you. And efficiency with the low cost and the flexible schedules are quantifiable and also achievable through the remote project management. I will say that remote project management is a holistic solution, but again, I will must say that leadership, environment, and the team together is a one unit responsible for the success and as well as for the failure. So, find the benefits and the success at the edge of your comfort zone. This is a universal truth. Here are some misconceptions where we know there are some benefits, there could be some disadvantages, but here are some misconceptions that already living with the remote project management, and it actually live with the any kind of methodology or framework. So because the topic is remote project management, so we really want to share some misconception with you. Number one, that remote work rarely pays off because distributed collaboration cannot work. This is one of the misconception. That's really, actually, it's really pays off. Not rarely, but it really pays off if you run the processes and if you run the virtual mindset properly. And the second misconception is about that speed and quality are often sacrificed in the work from home. Yes, it could be there, maybe you find more examples of this, but on the other hand, you have the benefits of that same strategy as well. Communication and teamwork face more barriers with working remotely. This is also not true. Even you see the people can or the team can face the barriers even in the physical environment. So it's not only about the remote. And the number four is the physical presence creates a commitment that does not happen otherwise. I think you all people know that it's not the condition. Even in the physical presence, you can see a lot of miscommitment and misconduct and inconsistencies as well. So these misconceptions, which are only associated with the remote project management, is in fact not true. What do you say, Zishan?
Basically, it's not just about remote project management. There are often misconceptions about processes and frameworks. Uh, Especially, we talk a lot about agile, but these frameworks are there, and they are only as much effective as you, as strong you are. So you have to see which areas are really suitable for you. And
We are hopeful, and everyone is hopeful, and keep the spirits high because this pandemic will set a new stage where the power of the human spirit will prevail. The world could be less open, but definitely it will be more stable.
if you can go back. One thing to share here is that let's assume there were the first phase in which we were working in a normal way, going to office and doing things. And then there was a second phase, which is current, the we are facing, fighting the pandemic situation. And there will be a third phase, inshallah. So basically the question is that we were doing a lot of things, processes, we built processes over so many years. We improved our processes and the way we work, and new innovation was there. And then this is the second phase when we have to experience a lot of new things. There was a good things in phase one, and there will be a lot of good things in phase two. Once we are in phase three, what we will do, which way we will be working, uh, we will go back to the phase one or keep doing what we are doing in phase two. So basically what we will be doing is we will be taking good things from both the phases. So that's what Saqib is trying to say here, is that we will be doing things a little bit differently, but much more in a focused manner. Just a few words about
There are a
our
few things which Zishan would like to share with you.
Sure, please, please.
basically just a little bit about us. We are basically a company, consultants that offers governance, project management, and skill development services. And there are a lot of sub-services related to that. Uh, we have recently published two books, uh, Beyond Agile Boundaries, which our upcoming books, obviously, we are working on this pandemic situation and trying to, we are doing a lot of research actually. Uh, our blog, basically, you can subscribe. We regularly publish our exclusive articles here. And I will love to have feedback from all of you on different topics, different thoughts, and listen to your thoughts as well. Next, please. Some of our upcoming trainings, and uh, whatever we earn from trainings, from obligations, from our salaries, 50% of that goes to the coronavirus affectees. So basically, we try to play our part and hope that everything goes well. Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you. Thank
we
you.
will take your questions now.